Hello everybody, welcome to Team News Live from a very chilly Hillsborough. No Paddy Davitt, as you can tell. He's of course off, awaiting a new arrival to his clan, so you have to deal with me for between now and the end of the season. Adam Harvey, joined by Connor Southwell for this, as we wait the team news a couple of minutes away. Connor, David Wagner hinted at a few changes, any that maybe spring to mind you could see him making ahead of tonight's game?
I know one change I need to make, and that's a haircut based on that image. Yeah, I think this is something we've discussed all the way up, isn't it? And I think there's a couple. I could see Liam Gibbs coming in. I could see Christian Fashnak coming in. What I maybe expect off the back of that is an unchanged 11, but the reality is, and David Wagner has spoken about this as well, the squad is small and it is stretched, and that means they're going to, I think, have to be a little bit creative with just how they manage it. This is what the third game in about 8 days or so. They've obviously got Preston on Saturday before then getting a fresh week. So it does feel like it is probably a night for rotation. Whether or not that's how it pans out or not, I'm not quite sure. But yeah, I think I'm probably looking at the role behind the striker, the one that Ashley Barnes has been playing, and probably that right flank maybe. I know Marcelino Nunez is someone who's played a lot of minutes. Whether he is in need of a rest or not, I'm not sure. Fortunately, obviously, the coaching staff and the performance team have access to a whole range of numbers that will be able to allow them to make informed decisions. So, yeah, we'll find out in about 2 minutes or so. But I think it could be any from quite a few changes to none at all. So we'll see.
How dangerous do you think tonight's test is? Of course, Norwich off the back of that huge result on Saturday against Ipswich Town keeps the unbeaten run going against them. Different test tonight against a side battling, in the bottom relegation zone there at the bottom of the Championship. But if you go by what David Wagner said yesterday, with Danny Rowell in charge, they probably should be more in the mid-table bracket. So, what sort of test do you expect to Norwich City to face tonight?
Yeah, really tough one. And I think actually, if you look at their league position, this isn't a team that is where they should be in the league. I think based on when Danny Rowell come in and the job that he's done subsequently, I think it's 1 defeat in 6 here. That is an indication of quite.
There we go. Team. Yeah, we've got the team. So we'll read it down and we'll sort of looks unchanged. I know we've got Bart in there. So Gunn in goal, Stacey, Bart, Gibson and McCallum the back 4, Nunez and McLean the midfield 2, Zara, Signs, Barnes and then Sargent up top. Connor, so just the one change there. We'll go through the bench as well. Long, Duffy, Montoya, Fisher, Fashnak, Welch, Gibbs, Van Hooijdonk and a Bow. Just to start 11 again for anyone that just missed it. Gunn in goal, back 4, Stacey, Bart, Gibson, McCallum, Nunez and McLean the midfield 2, Zara, Signs and Barnes behind Josh Sargent. Connor, what do you make of that?
Yeah, that's not the change I was expecting, to be completely honest. It's really interesting that Danny Bart has come in. I guess it makes sense given that they've just welcomed Shane Duffy back. He was obviously thrust into action, wasn't he? Probably earlier than anyone anticipated against Leicester. Then it was a full 90 on Saturday. I know that obviously there's that calf issue that he's returned from recently that maybe they've just needed to look after and recuperate from. So yeah, maybe a surprise that Danny Bart has come in. I would need, off the top of my head, I'd need to double check, but that feels like certainly in the league, his first start this year, I want to say. But I know he played in the Bristol Rovers replay, didn't he? I don't know if he played in the initial game. But, big opportunity for him. Big moment for him and a big chance with, obviously, Shane Duffy out. Grant Hanley away on an individual fitness programme. And Jakob Sørensen sort of building up his fitness as well after a hamstring injury. A good opportunity for him to come in and play and kind of see what he's made of. And that would indicate to me that what David Wagner is expecting tonight is a physical, direct contest, and in that sense, it's a bit of a like for like. Otherwise, I think if he was perhaps expecting a bit more of a footballing game, I think we would have seen Kenny McLean drawn back. But obviously, then that would mean a reshuffle with either him or Gibson playing on the right side, which maybe he doesn't prefer. So yeah, it's a big vote of confidence in Danny Bart. It's really interesting to see them start. As we said, it's been a while, and it's going to be fascinating to see how he gets on.
Do you think his lack of minutes could be an issue? Of course, we spoke about this actually on the car ride up. Players that maybe are on that bench that haven't played a lot in recent times, so they'd be thrusted in if they needed, given if there's an injury or suspension, whatever it might be. How dangerous is that? Sort of coming in at such a key moment.
Yeah, it is, particularly at this stage of the season. I mean, we use the example of Sidney Van Hooijdonk, someone who obviously has been an unused substitute in the last 3 games. Of course, you can stretch the example to Danny Bart, really. He came on for the last 10 minutes? No, it was even fewer than that, wasn't it? The last few minutes on Saturday. But in terms of actual raw minutes on the football pitch, he hasn't played a lot of football. And when you do come to this stage of the season, you need to make rotations and you need to bring players in. To do that cold, having not played a lot of minutes, is a risk. I think there's no doubt about it, because they have to overcome rustiness. There's obviously the mental side of it, and everyone talks about match fitness as well. So and I think the comment there is right. Danny Batth is usually reliable. I think it obviously, and we've seen it. There are some shortcomings in terms of his distribution out from the back, but that's the case if Shane Duffy plays as well. So it's a really interesting decision that David Wagner has made, and probably one. I mean, I mentioned it before that they've looked at the numbers, crunched the numbers, and felt that Shane Duffy isn't of a standard of fitness where he can go 2 games in 3 days or so. So come in, Danny Batth. What an opportunity it is for him, and he'll be hoping that he can grasp it perhaps a little bit better than some of his performances on occasion in the Norwich City shirt.
Yeah, start of a big week for Norwich. 2 really tough away games. Of course, we were sort of talking about it, the different tests they're going to face tonight. Before we cut into the team news, physical presence probably feels quite inevitable when you're facing a team like Sheffield Wednesday. Very different under Danny Röhl. So how do Norwich have to approach this game tonight? Because it's probably going to be a lot different from that home game there on Saturday.
Yeah, it is. And actually, I think the game generally, I mean, I tweeted this yesterday. I'm just trying to get it up in front of me now just so I get it absolutely bang on. But the last 4 times that Norwich City have beaten Ipswich, and I think this is maybe a mental point really. 2014, they beat Ipswich 1-0, then it was a 1-1 draw against Bournemouth. In 2015, 2-0 win, then they lost 1-0 to Wigan 3 days later. That's the most pertinent example, really. 2017, that was a 1-0 win over Ipswich, followed by a 2-1 defeat to Derby. And then 2019, even in 2019, in that title-winning crusade, a 3-0 win over Ipswich, and then a 3-1 defeat to Preston North End. So there can always be a feeling of after the Lord Mayor's show about it. So it is about rising yourself, finding some motivation, I suppose, because the reality is to get yourself up for an away trip here compared to what they did on Saturday in East Anglian Derby can be very difficult. There can be a real mental challenge to that. That's a hurdle that they have to overcome with some confidence. And in many ways, if they could win here tonight, that would be far more impressive than maybe what we saw at Stoke because of the context of it and because of obviously it following a very difficult fixture. So, major test for Norwich mentally, physically, and obviously they're playing a side who, as we referenced, is in a bit of a false lead position since Danny Röhl came in.
Yeah, Paddy Davitt back at base has provided us with the away lineup, so we'll bring that up for you now. Of course, got Beadle in goal there. Ex-Norwich City defender Akin Faremo only played 1 appearance for the Canaries. I think that was against Manchester City. I'd have to double check that, but I'm pretty certain that's correct. Yeah. Hiwekwe, Diaby and Iorfa, of course, ex-Ipswich Town. Barry Bannon, well-renowned in the Championship for how crucial he is to this Sheffield Wednesday side. Palmer, Smith, in the front 3 there of Windass, Gassama and Musaba. I believe the Musaba there on the right. Yeah, a lot of pace, maybe lack of an end product, a little bit Pleheter-esque, I suppose, if you want to sort of reference it to an ex-Norwich player. But the lad I spoke to on Terrace Talk, he sort of referenced him as a really crucial cog in the Sheffield Wednesday side. We'll get the bench up in just a moment, Connor, but there's any players there that maybe stick out as a real threat for Norwich to try and deal with tonight?
Yeah, there was a spell in the game at Carrow Road, casting my mind back, just in the first half where Sheffield Wednesday upped their performance levels, and that was all centred around them just opening up the game a little bit for Barry Bannon. Norwich let Barry Bannon get on the ball with probably a little bit too much confidence and a little bit too much swagger, and actually from that period, and I think it was in the period where they might have scored just before and just after, certainly in that first half, there was a real spell of Sheffield Wednesday dominating the game, and that was largely because of him. And I know he's been a little bit off colour this season, maybe hasn't produced the performances that he or they would have expected, but still at this level is a quality operator, providing you allow him space. So that's one for me. And then I think that front line as well, particularly in the context of what we've just spoken about in terms of Danny Batth and Ben Gibson. Sheffield Wednesday will be looking at getting in behind, looking at utilising their pace, looking at trying to exploit those gaps in the Norwich City defence that we all know is there and has been there all season, particularly away from home. That's kind of where I see them needing to be alert. But this is a team that currently sits in the relegation zone. It is an opportunity for Norwich to get another 3 points. That will put them on 70. I honestly don't think they need much more after that. They need a bit more, but 4 or 5 from what 4. It's a big game, and I think this is, as I said earlier on, I think this is a game that is as much about what's between the ears for Norwich City as it is about ability and quality as well. Maybe a bit of physicality as well. So it's going to be really interesting. And there was a brilliant, I can't remember the name of it, but there was a fantastic Sheffield Wednesday account that had done some research and sort of said that of Norwich's 10 defeats this season on the road, 9 of them have come kind of in kind of games where they're fatigued, so to speak. So where you've had a game in quick succession. The most sort of recent example of that, I suppose, is that Middlesbrough game, albeit we all know the mitigation around that. So, yeah, this is going to be a really tough test. They're going to look to have energy, they're going to look to have pace, and they're going to look to try and hurt Norwich, I would imagine, in transition. And, I'm looking at that pitch. I don't know if it's just because of the angle we're at, but that looks like a long, quite narrow pitch to me up here. So that would give you an indication, I think, of maybe the type of game that Norwich City can expect tonight.
Yeah, guys, bringing that Sheffield Wednesday bench. Dawson, Valentine, Pedersen, James, Hendrick, Patterson, Volks, Fletcher and Cadamartri, who scored the goal in the reverse fixture at Carrow Road. Colin, before I get your sort of score prediction, we spoke a lot about psychology, and what that boost of confidence Norwich players will get from the result against Ipswich Town. The away record is still, up for debate. I mean, they have got the win over Stoke there not many weeks ago, which felt like a real kind of moment, I suppose, in the season, that sort of breaking that duck of away form. 2 big games now this week. Points tally for over the 2 games. What do Norwich need to really hit now to keep themselves in the top 6? I think they need to win one of them. Is my view, just because that would enable them to keep a cushion. I think this is going to be really difficult tonight. I'm going to be honest, just because of obviously the context that we've mapped out. Sheffield Wednesday here as well. Like we said, I didn't realise until I looked this morning it was 1 defeat in 6 at home. That's an incredible record for a team that is at the wrong end of the division. And they come in here obviously, 2 points really off the back of a win, having beaten QPR on Saturday, but also fighting for their lives and knowing what a win could do, particularly with some games tomorrow night. It would put them on 45 points, and that would probably, come the end of the night, move them out of the relegation zone. So that is a big prize. And often at this stage of the season, where you come to these places where they are fighting and scrapping, they can be as dangerous, if not more dangerous, than sometimes going to teams who are at the right end of the division. So, as I said, it's about Norwich to weather that and to weather their storm and to try and put onto this game as much as they possibly can. And like you say, it's about psychology. So it's going to be a fascinating contest, I think. And what you just hope is that we don't get a flat, slow out of the blocks Norwich City, because I think if that's the case and Sheffield Wednesday can get their noses in front, then this could be really difficult. But yeah, like you say, start of a big week, and I think people probably looked at the Leicester Ipswich doubleheader. I think the Sheffield Wednesday Preston doubleheader, both away from home, is as important because of that context that you spoke about with their away record. Yeah, Norwich have won on both their last visits here, but I think it's 16 defeats in 29 games, so it's not been a particularly happy hunting ground. Lots of goals usually between these two, Connor. I think we've seen 5-1s and 4-0s and all sorts.
I've seen some bad results here for Norwich City, I can tell you that.
Yeah, so we'll go through a few people in the comments and I'll get your score prediction. We've got a 2-1 Norwich here from Paul. Shane Jones also going for a scrappy 2-1 victory. What else we got further down? We've got a 2-0 Norwich here from Peter. Spanish, slightly concerned that you're sat on the right and not the left.
Well, if you flip it the other way, I am on the right. So, no, I'm not really, am I? Yeah, sorry.
We've got a 1-1. Someone's feeling very confident. We've got a 12-0 there in the comments. We've got a Danny Bart winner from Tom. 1-0, 93rd minute. We'd all take that. Richard with a 2-0 Sheffield Wednesday. So whether he's a Wednesday supporter or he's not feeling very confident. Connor, how do you see this game going tonight? I mentioned goals. Do you see plenty of those, on this turf this after? I suppose it's evening actually. Isn't it?
Yeah, it's going to be tough for all the reasons I think it's going to be a really tight game, and not to sit on the fence, but I can kind of see all 3 results. Look, we've got to be optimistic, haven't we? Norwich City have just won the East Anglian Derby. They're absolutely flying since the turn of the year. So I'm going to go for a tight 2-1 Norwich win.
Yeah, I think I was looking back at our podcast during the international break, and I think to this point I've got everything correct. I did predict Norwich to...
You had to get that in.
I had to get it in there, yeah. I had to get it in there. I did predict Norwich to win here tonight. So even though maybe in my head I'm feeling more of a draw, I think based off what I said before, I'm going to go for a Norwich win. I can see a scrappy result as well. I'm going to go for 2-1 Norwich. I think they've got the sort of confidence boost. Sheffield Wednesday said good here. Danny Roll in charge of them, doing a really good job. Nicest man in football. Me and Paddy had the pleasure of dealing with him at Carrow Road. Came round and shook everyone's hands before and after the press conference. So looking forward to another meeting with him later on this evening, but hopefully after Norwich City picking up 3 points. Of course, that is everything from us on this Team News Live. All the live coverage across on the Pink and Plus app. We've got the special offer still running just about at the moment, so you can take advantage of that. We are in the final days, I believe, maybe even less than 24 hours to take advantage of that. So £3 for 3 months, or you can take an annual subscription for £24. So we think it's worth coming in and joining us if you've enjoyed our coverage. Of course, we had all the Derby coverage, which I think most people went down well. So thanks for all your support on that. Of course, hopefully for Norwich City's sake, it's another 3 points from a very chilly Hillsborough this evening.